both Syria and Lebanon are really, I think most people, if not everybody on this committee, really views that this is a critical moment and an opportunity. Obviously, there's problems. There's a history there that bears watching. But whenever we engage in these things, the people there got to want it more than we do. And we see that in dealing with both the Lebanese and the Syrians. We hope it can come to fruition. It bears watching, but we'll appreciate your strong hand on the tiller there. So with that, Senator Ricketts is yielding to Senator Hagerty for now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Ricketts, for the time accommodation. And to each of you, I want to congratulate you for your nomination to represent the greatest country in the world. You're going to have a wonderful and exceptional experience should you be confirmed. No surprise, we live in a very challenging and dangerous world right now. And it's only going to be through the talents and the sacrifices of you and your families that we're going to be able to ensure America's prosperity and America's security in the world. So thank you for your willingness to serve. I'm going to turn my attention, no surprise, to you, Mr. Waltz. You're getting ready to take on a very critical role at a place that was founded on some very fundamental principles. You think about the principles of the UN and its founding: freedom, peace, human rights. Those are the founding documents. That was in the Charter of the United Nations. Today, what we see happening at the UN is far divorced from those founding principles. Instead, what we find is an overly politicized organization, one that tends to criticize and work against the interest of the United States and its allies, and frankly, one that actually supports authoritarian regimes in many cases, advancing their interest over those of the United States. As our chairman mentioned, we're the largest donor. The United States is the largest donor to the UN. Yet, at the same time, we're not getting the type of results we see. And I'm going to cite the example that you brought up, Chairman Risch. What happened on October the 7th? That was an absolute disgrace when we found out that people on the United Nations payroll were actually involved in the Hamas attack. Yet what happens from senior leaders at the UN? They use every opportunity they possibly can to criticize Israel. Yet at the same time, they diminish the role of their own personnel in those attacks. It's absolutely shocking to me. And what I'd like to hear from you, Mr. Waltz, is what are, a two-part question actually, what are the most important challenges you see at the UN that we face as a nation, that the United States faces at the UN? And then two, what is your intention to address those challenges?
Thank you, Senator, and I certainly share those views. I think first and foremost is we need to drive reform. As I've shared with a number of you during our office visits, I understand there is concern about the President's budget request, but I see it also as a moment of opportunity. If you look at when reform has actually happened, not talked about, not the rhetoric, is when the United States has said, you know what, we need to actually see things before the U.S. taxpayer continues to write checks. We saw it in the late 1990s with led by Senator Jesse Helms that turned into the Helms-Biden legislation. We saw it in the early 90s, and that resulted in at least something approximating an inspector general, although I think we still need a heck of a lot more reform in that regard. So we need those reforms to continue forward. I do not think Secretary General Gutierrez would have his UN 80 plan already on the table if he didn't take President Trump very seriously and Secretary Rubio very seriously. And you know, if we're looking at cutting 20% of their staff, Senator, there's over 20,000 staff just in the Secretariat. And these are in pretty expensive places like Geneva, Vienna, Rome, New York. They need to be closer to the field, and I think they need to be a lot more efficient. And I mentioned the things that are pending in terms of Syria, Lebanon, Iran, and what have you, and certainly our counter-China efforts. Those will all be top of mind.
Well, I appreciate your focus on what is obviously a bloated organization, one that's missing the mark at every turn and frankly has been misguided in so many directions. I'd like to pick up on a particular point that the ranking member raised, and that has to do with China and its malign influence there at the United Nations. What I've seen China do is essentially weaponize the UN in certain instances to be able to advance their own ambitions, to be able to do this, frankly, at the expense of United States interests. And again, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are in terms of what you might do to specifically address China's malign influence and make certain that the United States interests are held in priority?
Thank you, Senator. Absolutely. I think first and foremost, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the favoritism that the second largest economy and our competitor receives by being treated as a developing country. One, it aligns with the G77, which is a collection of countries, many of whom actually are top recipients of U.S. aid, except their voting coincidence rate with us is at the bottom. Two, for example, the World Bank classifies China as an upper middle-income country for the past 15 years. They continue to make concessionary loans to China funded by the U.S. taxpayer. That's one of a number of examples. They're pursuing an AI agenda. I don't know. I mean, we always have to keep our sovereignty in mind. I think that's a place where we can engage, and we certainly need to block and tackle in these forums.
Well, we look forward to working with you, and I want to thank Senator Ricketts for allowing me to move forward in time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.